Welcome to the Disgruntled Losers Bad Boys 3.0 podcast. And this week I do have Hoy with me. Hoy, what is up?
What up? Let's go. It's a good day. It's a good day to be a Pistons fan.
Great day. So Pistons win 98-83 over the Orlando Magic in Game 2 at home. First home playoff win in a lot of years. We had lost 11 in a row before this. This was a big win. Hold on. I got to start with a story. So I've mentioned a few times, I'm an official. I umpire baseball. It doesn't matter what level it is. I had a game today, and I looked at my schedule, and I did the math, and I saw the Pistons also had a playoff game today, and I've been wanting to go to a game. You know, I complained about this earlier in the podcast, and I was trying to buy tickets to game one. Didn't work. I'm hoping we go to a couple rounds so I can get to maybe round two. Either way, I didn't give up my baseball game today. It just can be difficult to replace me. So, not that I'm anything special. I saw the face you just made there. Either way, I get an email this morning at like 7 a.m. It's an automated email, and it said the other umpire on the game had been taken off. And I was like, oh, that happens sometimes. People get sick, whatever. Things happen. And then I get to the game, and his replacement tells me, oh, no, he got tickets to the Pistons game tonight. And I'm just like, this isn't the right karma that I'm supposed to be getting. But the Pistons did win, and that's all that matters here tonight.
Woo!
So let's get back to the game. So I want to get to the game notes, but Hoy, do you have any just initial thoughts? Did you have anything that you wanted to start with before I get into these game notes here?
I said last game, Franz and Paolo are frauds. They've been doing this all season where they have one game where they blow up, drop 40, or have a really good game and they blow out a team or whatever. And then they disappear the next game. They just do, and sometimes they go on longer droughts. Sometimes they have a couple hot games. They're just the weirdest duo I've seen in basketball in a while because they show spurts of talent, but I told you they're frauds. They're not real. They're not the real deal.
All right, let's get to the game notes. Now, we kind of blew it by saying the Pistons won, but I do want to talk about the first half, and then let's stop after I get through these game notes at halftime, and then let's talk about the first half, and then we'll talk about the third quarter into the second half, because it's a tale of two completely different games. And so right off the bat, my first note is, as a referee, there's nothing worse than a bad toss to start the game. And of course, the toss wasn't great. And it's funny too, because you wouldn't notice this. And the officials did a great job tonight. So this is the only thing I'm going to say about the officials all night. But it was a bad toss. And it sucks. You hate to start your playoff game with a bad toss. Same starting lineups both ways. Obviously, that wasn't going to change. The very first note on the game I have is silly first followed by Duren. Off to a bad start. Richard Jefferson and Tim Legler were doing the game with Mike Breen. Great crew again on game two. We've been getting great crews in this playoff run, which is awesome. It helps to be the number one seed. And Jefferson and Legs were both on it from the beginning. It was like, oh, that's a horrible first followed by Duren. Just after everything that happened game one, that was not how you wanted to start game two. He kind of just hip checked him for no reason. Franz felt the contact and just tossed the ball up, and there was two shots right off the bat. Ugly start. 10:06 to go, first quarter. Ugly left-handed from Asor Thompson. Tough shot. There was no confidence on it. The note I had next to it was, I hope this doesn't affect his aggressiveness for the rest of the game on offense. We go from there to 8:54. Tough call on Tobias on Paolo. JB could have challenged it. I did think it was an obvious miss by the officials. The reason JB didn't challenge it was, you do have to look at these plays. So when you're watching a game and you see, okay, that's a challengeable call, like the official may have missed that call. You got to look at, number one, where does the ball end up after the play? Does Detroit obviously secure the ball? So think football, think NFL, when the officials mess up a call, if there's a defender sitting right there and they can pick up the ball, the NFL's decided okay, we're going to give them the ball right there. So NBA does the same thing. If there's an obvious person right next to it, or if they have the ball, you can give Detroit the ball. So in that case, yeah, the officials got the play wrong, but it was a completely loose ball. So what would happen is you would have gotten a jump ball between Tobias and Paolo. And really at that point, you're just saving a follow on Tobias. And I don't know if JB felt like just flat out saving a foul on Tobias without getting the possession also was worth challenging. 8:30 to go, first quarter. Duren plays weak defense because of his silly first foul, gives up layup. Again, Jefferson and Legs were all over it. 6:42, Detroit's up 14-7 to start the game. It was a dream start for Detroit. Anything to this point, so very beginning of the game, Hoy, like I'm saying, kind of a dream start. At 14-7, Duren was playing weak, but it looked like things were going to go all right at the very beginning.
I mean, the way I saw it, though, it didn't even look like we should be winning to start off in the first quarter. it was a really rough first quarter to watch. Missed free throws, silly turnovers, and we just didn't look aggressive. Once Duren picked up that foul, it immediately changed like the tone of the game. It seemed like, and yeah, I don't know. It was a very tough first quarter to watch.
No, I actually completely agree. That was great analysis. The only thing I have is Cade looks great, and that was the only thing you didn't mention there. You talked about everything else but Cade. Just like game one, Cade looks great. Baskets were coming easy right off the bat. 5:13 first quarter. JB's working the officials hard tonight. Veteran crew, like I said, did a great job. These guys all had worked finals before. Helps be the number one seed. You get good crews on the broadcast, and you get good crews on the court. 4:39 in the first quarter. Bench comes in plus Cade. It was Green, LeVert, Stewart, Herter, Cade. So no Holland. And at this point in the game, I did think, well, then Holland's not going to play tonight, because at that point, Jenkins was still going to play because Cade was still in. So you had played 9 guys, and then obviously Jenkins is going to play. So that would have been 10. So this was towards the end of the first quarter. I'm like, all right, so Holland's going to be the odd man out. Last time I predicted that Green and LeVert would be the odd man out, and Holland would kind of get those minutes because I thought he played well. JB disagreed. First thing I got wrong. But also I'm going to get this wrong too, because Holland is going to come into the game. And so we're going to get into actually the rotations and how maybe we are playing a few too many people here in the playoffs in the first round. Cade forces a 3 after a bad possession with the bench. The only time Cade struggled this entire game was this 3-minute stretch where it was him and the bench, and he tries to figure out, like, do I need to be a one-man show with the bench, or am I going to try to get these guys involved? And so you could see game 1 and game 2, Cade has struggled a little bit just with what mindset he should take with playing with the bench guys. And I think you'll eventually see he just gets to the hoop and distributes, and that should always be his mindset. And the notes are going to show that here in a second. Stewart can't lose the matchup versus Batazzi is the note I have towards the end of the first quarter. And long story short, he does not lose the matchup. The Pistons do not lose the matchup. Batazzi was a turnstile all day long. That guy struggled today.
Yeah, he looked like a black hole out there.
He struggled. Cade gets dunked. But then Cade has a lazy pass turnover. So like I said, he just can't really get in a flow with the bench too much. I have, at end of the first quarter, Stewart forces a turnover on Batazzi. This is where it starts to be like, okay, so maybe Batazzi isn't going to do anything today. 1:41 left in the first quarter. Jenkins comes in for Cade. Orlando's actually up 21-20 at this point, so Cade leaves the game for, a few minutes. 50 seconds to go in the first quarter. Herter hits a big 3 with Cade on the bench. Obviously, the offense struggles without Cade, so anytime anybody hits a 3, or honestly anytime anybody gets a bucket with Cade on the bench, it's going to be a big shot, and it's probably going to be written down in the notes. So this is where I have, should we be staggering the starters' minutes better? I don't believe there's another team in the NBA that you'll see 5 bench guys in the game in the playoffs. It usually you would have 2 guys that are your leading scorers that you're going to want to try to stagger their minutes a little bit, and then maybe one of your starters actually leads the bench rotation a little bit. Now, Pistons don't really have a lead ball handler other than Cade in the starting lineup, and so it doesn't work that cleanly for them. The only note I have is I just want to see a Sir Thompson in that lead guard role with the bench guys and just see what that looks like, because the bench guys do shoot actually a little bit better than the starters when you have LeVert, Green, and Herter and Stewart out there. Like, those are 5 guys. I know Stewart's, sometimes he's hot, sometimes he's cold, but those guys all will shoot the 3 if they're wide open, if you just put it that way. And so throwing Asar Thompson in with those guys, and Asar can guard up on defense if you wanted to have Green, LeVert, and Herter on the wing guys, and then you could have Stewart and Thompson down low. So I haven't seen it yet. I don't know if we're going to need it, but I would prefer, I guess I want to just see Thompson lead this bench unit a little bit. Hoy, I don't know if you paid attention during the commercials at all. There was a banana ball commercial. And Hoy's laughing over there.
We might get different commercials though, because I don't think I saw it. And I was sitting here watching all of it.
Oh,
I might have,
gosh.
or I might have missed it.
The algorithms got me. My TV's listening to me. My phone's listening to me. Whatever device I was watching on at the time. If you are lost on what I'm talking about, please reference our Khaki Shorts page on YouTube. Please follow, subscribe. Katie did mention that actually. We don't ever say that you need to follow and subscribe to us. So do that on Spotify. Do that on YouTube.
When you just got it, you got
losers. Yeah, I guess. Khaki Shorts page, banana ball is dead to me. Banana ball is dead to me. Second quarter. Start right off, 10:37 to go in the second quarter. Great shot by Jenkins after missing 2 free throws to end the first. Jenkins doesn't really play well in the first half, and then we're going to get to the second half. He doesn't play during the most important part of the second half, so it's hard to it does seem like Jenkins' minutes are slipping a little bit. We'll see how game 3 looks, but I mean, there's probably not too much to take away from Jenkins. Do you have anything on Jenkins from this game?
Well, my big thing, yeah, and I think I texted you on the side about this for even game one. Like he just looks a little frantic. I don't know if it's playoff jitters or what, but he just looks like he's kind of running around a little crazily. And even in this first half, I don't know what that play was with like 20 seconds left, but he's just dribbling side to side, not even looking to pass it, not even looking for a screen. He's just kind of blindly trying to blow by Bane, and Bane is just locking him up. And I'm like, all right, you got if you're gonna run point guard when Cade sits out, you gotta be looking for something at the very least. I know you're quick and you can try to make a play, but like it was kind of that same story the rest of the game. I feel like he just couldn't get a good rhythm because he's just a little frantic. He needs to slow the game down, breathe, maybe get a play called for you or something. Ask for a screen, do something. But he's just running around with like a chicken with his head cut off.
He's got to see one go in. Yeah, he hasn't gotten any rhythm through these first 2 games. And I don't think JB is going to pull him because he was such a big part of what we did down the stretch. And he can just be a good 3-point shooter. And like I said, we have no playmaking at all. So we're going to need a little bit of him. Like maybe I was wrong and we're not going to need 25 minutes of him, but we're going to need 12 to 14 minutes of him, even in these biggest games. All right, 8:23 in the second quarter. Duren gets the ball in the post. Duren is still not playing well beginning of the second quarter. He's trying to dribble in the post. He's trying to do these spin moves. He's trying to force some stuff up. And then the other note I just have is I don't know why Asar Thompson and Duncan Robinson aren't playing more. I know they each had 2 fouls, but beginning of the second quarter, like I said, we had all those 5 bench guys on. I didn't quite understand that. 7:26 to go in the second quarter. Duren gets the ball in the post. This time he doesn't dribble. It was that play where Duncan Robinson's driving and it looks like he's going to do a floater, but really he ends up passing the ball to Duren, and then Duren makes a nice little spin move without dribbling, like I said, and hits a nice little like 5-footer. And Legs and Richard Jefferson were all over it like, all right, this is exactly what you want to see from Duren. Like that's the type of shot. Like he's not a take 3 dribbles, back you down, and like do something skillfully like Jokic. Like this, we got to get him in his spots. We got to get him moving. We got to get him going towards the basket. 6:30 to go in the second quarter. Cade, Duncan, Asar Thompson, Harris, and Stewart are in the game. So essentially it's starters, except for we're flopping Duren for Stewart. Because at this point, like I said, Duren hadn't given us anything. So I think JB's just like, all right, let's see what Stewart can give us. Like maybe we're just going to split their minutes 50-50 during this series. And Detroit's up 33-30, I should say, at this point. And my note is at this point, at 6:30 to go in the second quarter, it's an ugly game. It's a really, really ugly game. 5:42, Thompson makes a nice aggressive move towards the hoop. He misses the layup, which stinks, but it looked confident, even though he missed it. And then he immediately gets his 3rd foul right after that. So Thompson, kind of like Jenkins, just can't really get in a rhythm, even though Thompson does make big defensive plays. Even though I'm saying he's not getting in a rhythm, we're going to need more from Thompson if we progress. Holland actually comes back in the game for Thompson at that point. So we'd played 11 people at 5:42 to go in the second quarter. We're going to get to the box score, like I said, at the end. We'll see how many minutes Holland played. Just was very surprised. I'm going to keep saying that. 5:03. Richard Jefferson, I think, struggled with officiating tonight. And not that he didn't like the officiating. Like when Richard Jefferson saw a replay of the play and he would make his analysis of what he thought the call should be, he was wrong, I think 5 of 6 times. I might be a little harsh. It might have been 4 or 5. It's just funny. He's a player. Like you'll get this, like players just don't make good officials usually. It's rare. It's just very rare that a player makes good officials. So the play I'm talking about, 5:03 to go in the second quarter, Ron Holland gets called for a foul where he's kind of going away from the hoop. It's one where the whole stadium didn't like it. Like I said, Jefferson didn't like it. Holland's obviously looking for a challenge. When you go to the replay, it's blatantly obvious that Holland's not in legal guarding position. Like it sucks. I don't have the replay up in front of me, but he's not setting still. Like I know he's not like going towards the basket, but it's a foul, and Jefferson just struggled on his analysis on what was a foul and what wasn't a foul tonight. 4:20 to go in the second quarter. Suggs hits a 3-pointer. Suggs at this point and even beginning of the third quarter, his stats were good, but his impact was not what it was in game 1, and you could just feel it. So what on Suggs just at this point? I mean, even throughout the whole game, what did you see from Suggs tonight? Obviously, he had such a good game 1.
I actually think, I mean, like, he's kind of like the only like bright spark from that Magic that's been consistent across both games. I'm still gonna say it. You kind of botched my joke, but I'm gonna reiterate it. Jalen Suggs can still suck on these nuts. But you know what? He
Yeah,
played
go
really
ahead.
well. I will give it to him. He plays hard and he's just kind of everywhere on the court. Like every time you see a defensive play or something, like he's kind of around that area causing something to happen. So yeah, not too shabby.
He plays a little like Josh Hart of the Knicks. I'm seeing
Yeah,
similarities. Like they got a little. It's not exactly the same, but there's something that's
yeah,
similar there.
I definitely see
Like
what you're saying. Like little
fourth
bit
guy.
offense, yeah, yeah, fourth
Yeah.
guy-ish
Yeah,
defense,
you know what I mean? Like the
but
whole
and like
thing.
Josh is
Yeah.
everywhere too. Like they just
Yeah.
show up where they need to. Yeah,
Consistent. Yeah. Yeah, I've actually, through these first two games, I've probably grown to appreciate Suggs a little bit more, even though you keep ragging on him ragging on him a little bit.
I just have to go off that last name. It's just too easy to attack.
And so you had already hit on this, but I have right after the 420 mark in the second quarter, we're missing way too many free throws, and Orlando does us a favor and misses just as many as we do. So we're gonna
Mhm.
get to the box score here at the end, like I said, but just both ways, a ridiculous amount of free throws missed. 3:51 to go in the second quarter. Paolo starts talking, and then he misses the and one. But I will say, Paolo's impact was minimal throughout this whole first half, and then we're gonna get into the second half too. But just the fact that I'm watching, I want to know when Paolo starts talking, and watching closely. It wasn't until almost the end of the second quarter that Paolo really got himself talking. That means he's not playing well. If Paolo's not talking, that means he's not playing well. And I don't really like my guys to be like that, where you got to be talking to play well. So maybe that's another reason why I'm not a big fan of him. 3:36 to go in the second quarter. Cade starts putting his head down and really getting to the hoop aggressively. So I was kind of saying earlier how he was a little hesitant when he was playing with the bench on, does he need to just take over and be the focal point, or does he want to get these bench guys like really involved and see if he can get them going with the ball a little bit. But towards the end of the second quarter, Cade just said, no, 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 no. I'm going to get myself in the middle of the paint, and then if you're wide open for three, I'm going to kick it out, and if I'm wide open, I'm going to make a layup. And it was pretty much that way the rest of the game.
Yeah, he had a
3 minutes
couple
to go in the
nice drives.
Yeah, he did. He really did. 3 minutes to go in the second quarter. Duran gets an easy layup. I'm trying to look at some positive things for Duran here. I'm trying to make sure we throw him in there, because there sadly was, especially in the first half, still a good amount of negatives. 140 to go in the second quarter. Cade's back at the hoop again. A minute 34 to go in the second quarter. I got Duncan Robinson is getting cooked defensively. It was about 3 possessions in a row. It was the first time I saw Orlando actually hunt him on defense. And so you were seeing Paolo get the pick. He was getting the ball up top. He was pulling Duncan Robinson's guy towards him to get the pick. Duncan Robinson was switching on Paolo, and then Paolo was going at him. He got like three in a row, couple and one opportunities. Something to monitor. I would say I am just a little bit shocked that that's not happening more, and I would be surprised if it doesn't happen more in game three. Minute 13 to go in the first half. Cade makes an easy layup. About the last 2 or 3 possessions to go in the first half, Paolo just is trying to be a hero, and he switches himself onto Cade, and he says, this assignment's mine. And it doesn't not work for a couple possessions. So score at halftime is 46-46. Woo! Not great. How are you feeling at this point?
Like I said, it was a rough first half. A lot of silly mistakes, turnovers, free throws missed, but I will say there was towards the end of the second where you saw a little bit of Isaiah Stewart and Javante Green, who we're gonna talk about them a lot, I'm sure, going forward. But
Mm-hmm.
they had some good defensive stances, and I like when they had him just size up Paolo, just one on one, man a little bit, and I wasn't expecting that. Happened a little bit in the first game, but Javante Green held his own a little bit out there, and I'm sure we'll talk about it more in the second half, but he looked good. I liked him.
We're gonna get into rotations here at the end. That's gonna be in the segment here towards after we finish the second half. Okay, you're totally right. The note I have here is I apologize to basketball fans who are watching this series right now. There is a lot better basketball being played across the country. This is probably the saddest series so far. At this point, through a game and a half, score tied 46-46. If you were like a casual NBA fan, like this is not making you run back to your TV to watch the second half / the rest of this series. So it was a little frustrating. Now, let's start the second half. I'm going to roll through this pretty quick because we already gave the final score and it's going to get ramped up here pretty quickly. So Dream start to the second half. Detroit starts off on a 9-0 run. No, I have is Franz is guarding Cade. This is a good matchup for us. Cade is getting past Franz with ease. 9:30 to go. Magic are flopping on all of Sir Thompson screens. They get one call on him, but they are trying whatever they can to get Sir Thompson in trouble. And it's not working, but it's not doing enough to matter. 8:52, Bane actually hits a big three to stop the Pistons run at 11-0. So 8:52 to go in the third quarter. Pistons run an 11-3 run. Rolling through this real quick, pick and roll with Caden Duran. Duran hits Thompson on an alley-oop in the dunker spot. That's the dream type of play. Duran, Cade, pick and roll. If the defense comes out on Duran, little lob to Sir Thompson in the dunker spot. He finishes 9 times out of 10. He's got that little reverse layup. That's the one spot that Thompson's really effective on offense. 8:02 to go in the third quarter. Wendell Carter Jr. gets his 4th foul. I mean, this is the first time I've mentioned him on this podcast. I was just really crapping on Bataze earlier. I mean, I said it on that first episode. Like, Duran needs to be cooking these guys. Like, these guys are not NBA playoff quality defenders, and everybody besides Duran is making it look like that. The next note I have is Powell looks lost on offense. He's trying to be Superman, and it's one of those where I don't want to harp on Paolo too much because the team is totally lost on offense. And then, when your team gets totally lost on offense, you look at your star to kind of right the ship, and so they're just tossing the ball to Paolo and saying, "Here you go." And it wasn't the first game. Like I said, he made really tough shots in the first game, and those just didn't drop in this game. Robinson hits a 3. Thompson gets a steal and a dunk. Pistons are up 20. So we go from 46-46 to Pistons up 20 midway through the second quarter. So that's a 23-3 run at that point. 5:51 to go in the third quarter. Hard foul on Duran. Jefferson is lost on his analysis, so I mentioned it earlier. He struggled on his officiating. Obvious F1. There was an arm in his back. So when Duran goes up for that layup, the hard foul up top is fine, but when the defender puts his arm in his back and shoves him after the play, that's an obvious flagrant 1 foul, and the officials got it. Jefferson didn't. 27-3 run to start the second half. 4:45 to go in the third quarter. Isaiah Stewart gets that big block on Suggs. Plays like this just get Stewart going. I think you kind of mentioned it a little bit, like good energy from Stewart this game. I'm not sure if the box score is going to quite show it, but he made an impact on this game. At this point, it's a 30-3 run to start the second half.
Oh my God.
I don't think bad. God damn.
I don't think my notes do it justice if I'm being honest. 30-3 run to start the second half.
Oh my God.
We are owning Bataze. It's the next note. I've said it a few times, but really during this 30-3 run is where we start owning Bataze. 10:35 to go in the fourth quarter. Like I said, I kind of am just blowing through this third and fourth quarter because the offense is it's happening easy,
Cooking.
And
We're cooking.
And it's in ways though that this is not what people worry about. People worry about when Cade goes cold or when Cade's on the bench. Cade played every one of these minutes during this run. There was no Cade on the bench. Cade, I'm going to skip ahead here just a second. Cade doesn't go to the bench until 6:02 in the fourth quarter. So Cade plays the entire third quarter, and he plays the first half of the fourth quarter. And we got up, I think, 25 at one point. When Cade subs out in the fourth quarter, it's 91-70. So I'm going to skip ahead to just that point now. So 6:02 to go in the fourth quarter. Cade subs out. We're up 91-70. I was a little confused why he subbed out. I'm like, ooh, I guess he's been playing the whole time, so let's get him a breather. But, like, you're not actually going to take him out for the whole rest of the game. Like, you're only up 20. Like, that's not, like, game over. And so, sure enough, he comes back in with 4:45 to go. So, JB does the thing where he takes Cade out, lets, like, 2 possessions happen. He'll call a timeout and then bring Cade back in, essentially, after that timeout. Or maybe he'll give another minute to go. So, like I said, there's about 90 seconds of gameplay happen when Cade's on the bench, but really it's about 5 or 6 minutes of like actual time that Cade gets to sit on the bench. And so JB does a really good job at that. He does a really good job at managing Cade's minutes. We do get up enough where Cade doesn't have to play the entire fourth quarter, which is why he probably only played 35 minutes tonight. But JB does a great job with the minutes. Down the stretch, I got double tech on Bane and Robinson. Remember those shoves from game 1. So I want to look. So I'm going to watch game 3, and I'm going to watch it very closely. Desmond Bane touches Duncan Robinson's stomach 4 or 5 times a possession. Like, just touches it. Just puts his hand on his stomach. Sometimes he gives it a little smack. Sometimes he just wants to see if he's flexing his abs. Sometimes he wants to see if he's hungry. Sometimes he just wants to see if he's breathing. He just
Sometimes he's
touches
doing
him.
the Draymond check.
If we weren't playing basketball, this would be extremely inappropriate. And we are playing basketball, and it's still a little bit inappropriate. I don't know what to say. You need to watch some of these. He just is touching him. And so Duncan Robinson is finally fed up with it and just smacks his hand out of the way. And then Bane immediately just, like he's slow dancing with him, puts his hand right back in his stomach. And then Duncan's like, all right, F this. And he shoves him. And then so we get our first double technical. Harris gets a double technical with an Orlando bench player with 45 seconds to go in the game. All right. Let's move on to the box score. Like I said, I haven't pulled it up. I do like to just pull up the box score and kind of go through it with everybody for the first time and see if anything jumps out. So, and I've really been focusing mostly on the Pistons offense and less on the defensive side / Orlando's offensive, Orlando's offense. Orlando was just flat cold tonight. They just did not make shots. So they go 26 for 80. So they shoot 33% from the field. They go 8 for 32 from 3, which is 25%, which is not like backbreaking. And they get a good amount of free throws this game too. So they go 23 from 32 from the line. And we go 14 from 24 from the line. So a little bit of a reverse from game one, where they get a little bit more free throws. But also, the game was out of hand in the fourth quarter. The referees knew that and were calling everything on us because, it doesn't really matter. And like I said, they were trying to just calm the tensions. And there was just a lot of whistles down the end of the stretch there. So specifically, let's start with minutes. Cade Cunningham played 37 minutes. So that's where you want him to be in this series. You could keep him right about 37 minutes. He goes for 27 points on 11 of 19 shooting. 1 from 6 from 3. I'll be honest, it didn't feel like a problem, the 1 from 6 from 3. I remember the 1 he hit, and I don't remember the 5 he missed, if I'm just being honest. What I do remember is he shoots 4 from 8 from the free throw line. So and you had mentioned it right off the bat. Missed free throws, just flush it down the toilet and don't let it happen again.
We had to have been like close to 50%. I think we missed damn near 50% of our free throws.
So we missed 10 free throws, so we go 14 for 24. Yep, so we're 58%, which is not good enough. So back to Cade real quick, just to make sure, because he's our stud. 27, 11, and 6 with 7 turnovers. 2 or 3 of them were sloppy. I will say there was the one pass into Duren that I didn't like, thought it was a little lazy. 2 times he kind of went into a situation where he didn't have a way out of it and basically was going to travel or throw the ball away, and he just kind of threw the ball away. But he handles the ball so much. If you made me guess, I wouldn't have guessed 7. That seems high for what I watched tonight. Did turnovers feel like a problem from Cade to you?
No, not. I think he might have had a couple just in the first. Like I said, the first quarter itself was really rough. It seemed like the whole team was turning over the ball. Probably bled into a little bit of the second quarter as well. But we cleaned it up in the second half. So I'm sure 4 or 5 of those were probably in the first half.
So quickly, the rest of the starters. Duncan Robinson goes 32 minutes, 10 points, 3 of 8 from 3. He's fine. No different from the first game. I had in my game notes, I wanted him to play more, but now that I'm looking at the box score, he got 32 minutes. Probably erase that game note. That's probably right where you want him to be. And then you got, you just go down and look at Herter. So Herter only played 6 minutes. And I did feel that. I honestly don't really remember those 6 minutes. Just talking about it, he goes 1 for 2 from 3. I do like to talk about those two together because they kind of are a ones on, ones off type of deal. But it did look like, and to your point, Javonte Green stole a lot of those minutes from Kevin Herter tonight. And you didn't mind what you saw from Green?
Oh, I loved every bit of, and I don't think we talked about him enough in the second half. For a good portion of that second half, he was manning up on Paolo, and he just cleaned up on him. Couple strips, couple blocks, and he played really well. I was very surprised, and I would love to see more of that action. Just anytime Isaiah or Duren or Asar needs a break, just throw him in there. Let him scrap with Paolo. He's doing a great job.
Yeah, I've gotten a lot of texts on him. He went through stretches during the regular season where he looked like a real guy. And a lot of my text conversations during the regular season were about, what's this playoff bench rotation going to look like? And a lot of it was, is it going to be Green? Is it going to be LeVert? And then once Herter started looking like he was going to be a real guy, is it going to be Herter? or is Jenkins just going to play all the minutes, or is Ron Holland going to play all the minutes? The sad truth is, I still don't know if we figured that out yet. The one thing we do know is, Jalen Duren and Isaiah Stewart will pretty much go one on, one off. So if you just look, Jalen Duren goes 32 minutes tonight, and Isaiah Stewart goes 16 minutes tonight. So to do math live, 32 plus 16 is 48. There's 48 minutes in an NBA playoff game or an NBA game. One of those two guys was on the floor at all times, and that's
But
just how
those
it is.
16 minutes seemed like an entire half. Those 16 minutes look good. Those were a solid 16 from Isaiah. My goodness.
Yeah, no, it was good. The bench looked good, and that was not the case in game one. So I don't have the exact numbers, how well the bench did versus the Magic to bench in front of me. We'll have to listen in on some other people during the week to see what they think about that. But just to me, right off the bat, bench was real good tonight. Javonte Green, LeVert was fine. Plays 14 minutes, goes 2 of 6. The box plus minus I mentioned in the first one, I don't love to harp on that, and I haven't even mentioned it. The bench, we're sitting here and saying they played well. The box plus minus says they were all negative. Single digits. Stewart's -6, Green's -3. Just it didn't feel like that. Kind of. That's why I like to kind of go through the game notes and talk with you about what we felt. Because like I said, the box plus minus isn't always the gospel. So it just happened.
And it sucks because they come in when they just need to weather the storm, and they did a wonderful job of doing that. The defense in that whole third quarter was just unbelievable to watch. So I agree with you. Plus minus, whatever.
Tobias Harris. Let's do a quick Tobias Harris check-in. Plays 33 minutes, 16 points, 7 of 17 shooting, 0 of 3 from 3, which I'm going to filibust here for a second because I want to get his total for the series now. So he is now 1 of 10 for 3 from the series. So I feel like that is something to monitor. If Tobias Harris is not hitting threes, I don't know why he's playing 33 minutes. He's playing okay defense. I don't want to say he's negative on defense. He's probably a nothing on defense. He holds his own some possessions, and then some possessions he does get turned around. But at the same time, we're putting him on ridiculous assignments. This happened last year in the playoffs too, where he was guarding Cat. A lot of times you're seeing Tobias on Paolo, and I just really want to get a Sir Thompson on Paolo as much as possible. And that would just be my one thing for JB is just as much as we can get a Sir Thompson on Paolo, let's get that. And
or Javonte.
And that's fine. And so, if you're telling me that the bench in the second round is Isaiah Stewart, Javonte Green, and Dennis Jenkins, if those are the three, once we go down to 8, that's probably fine. That is kind of what it's looking like right now. I think Holland is clearly 10 or 11. I think Herter is right there with him at 10 or 11. And then it's just, is LeVert hot? Is he going to steal some of those minutes? And tonight it was Javonte Green.
I do want to say this though. I don't know if it's age or what, but Tobias, he needs glasses. He needs eyes, man. He missed 3 easy dimes in the first quarter. It was just Duncan was cutting down the baseline. He was even sitting there under the basket, wide open for a good maybe 2-3 seconds, calling for the ball, and Tobias is like, "Where are you? What?" And then he tries to throw it to him too late, and it bounces off his leg and rolls out of bounds. I was like, "Dude, you need glasses, man. You need glasses, contacts or something, man."
So real quick, Paolo Banchero goes for 18 points, 7 of 17 shooting, 0 of 2 from 3, 4 of 8 from the line, 8 assists. It wasn't his fault, but he wasn't like Cade, where Cade's doing everything. We are winning because of Cade, and Cade is going to lead us. And Paolo was also a number 1 pick, and it just does not have that same level of I can carry a team like Cade can. I know it's not fair because Cade's a lead guard and Paolo's not, but I mean, I have a hard time not comparing them. How can you not compare them? The rest of the rosters are a little bit similar. I know they don't quite have a Duncan Robinson to just to come in and shoot it up, but really, it just a lot of this is just Cade and Paolo. And it's sadly that's what happened game 1, and that's what happened game 2. Even though Cade was good in game 1, but Paolo just I don't want to say Paolo was better, but Paolo was good. And Paolo was not good in game 2, and Cade was good. And so we only won by 15. Felt like more. They got a few at the end. But I guess, what do you got for game 3? Like, so who, anybody on our team, anybody in Orlando, like what do you think the biggest difference would be and why it would be different?
Well, the biggest standout for me from this game that I need to see next game is Jalen Duren needs to put his big boy pants on. It's a step up from the swaddlers he was wearing in game 1, but like whatever today was is not it. We need him to put his big boy pants on, get ready to work, and just manhandle a little bit, man. I haven't seen him really get in the paint at all and like, get in there for a board or get in there for a block or get in there. He just looks soft right now. And if we're gonna win this Angel Reese Bowl, we're one game closer to the end of this Angel Reese Bowl. If we're gonna come out on top, I need him to put his big boy pants on.
Oh, Hoy mentioned on a podcast that is actually a future podcast in the way we release things and I did not know this, that Jalen Duren and Angel Reese have a romantic past. Now it's funny too because they're both so young. Did this happen when they were like 18? I mean, do we have any...
so 2 years ago. So they broke.
That's not too bad then.
Yeah, and then
and
Wendell.
She is currently
Yep.
dating who?
Wendell Carter Jr., Mr. Steal Your Girl.
The Mr. Steal Your Girl Bowl. That's horrible. Okay.
What have we started?
No, I don't know. What have you started? Game 3, Saturday, 1:00 in Orlando. I believe we should take care of business in a similar fashion that we did today. The second half, specifically the third quarter, eased a lot of my feelings. At halftime, I think a lot of Pistons fans were like, okay, like this isn't even fun. Like I was getting all ramped up and excited for a fun playoff run, and there is nothing fun about what's happening right now. And I do think everybody went to bed tonight thinking, all right, I'll give game 3 a try now.
Hey, I'm excited.
Now, CJ McCollum is a podcast host and very good with the media, and he knows exactly what he's doing. And he also knows that this is probably his last time that he's going to get a little moment in the NBA playoffs. And so he came totally prepared with material to the podium.
He had notes on that one, right?
He had that joke in his pocket. You just look at his face. But if you watch the play, as a referee, he kicks his foot out. Like, sorry, CJ, like, that's an F1. You can't kick a dude in the nuts. I don't care if that's what you think a normal jump shot is. A normal jump shot is you not kicking your foot up like a cheerleader. I'm sorry. Like, you talk about a Broadway show, like, don't be a cheerleader.
Yeah, but that doesn't mean, like, he didn't act a little,
Oh, sorry. Like, if you get kicked in the groin, like, if you didn't hit my balls, like, it was just lucky that you didn't. Like, it wasn't like, I don't know. I disagree. Like, I'm not sitting here telling Jalen Brunson he did not get kicked in the balls. I'm not going to do it.
Well, maybe it's just my history with, he was the Shea before Shea, so.
You know what's funny? I can't believe I just did that, and you're totally right. I hate Jalen Brunson. All right. That's all we got for you tonight. Like I said, Pistons win. Game 3, Saturday, 1:00 in Orlando. Good night, everybody. We'll talk to you after that.
Peace.